In this video, I will teach you how to add VHS effects to digital video by using an actual VCR and physical tapes. Before starting, there are a few things to note. Note that whatever video clip you plan to add these effects to, the video will have a resolution of about 480 by 360 and a readable resolution of even less. Any small text and details may be lost. The input video may be as large as you like though. The timestamps for the steps are in the description. Requirements. There are a few requirements to making these effects. I have links to a few of these in the description. The physical requirements are a VCR with composite input and tapes, a capture card that can input the VCR, HDMI and composite cables, an HDMI to composite converter, and finally, a computer with a decent CPU. What I mean by this is that the computer should be able to record OBS at 60 frames per second and at least 720p. You will need at least 2 outputs on your graphics card, and one must be HDMI. Or, if you have a laptop and it has HDMI out, that will work too. I recommend grabbing a VCR from a thrift shop for really cheap. Some thrift shops have power outlets, so I recommend testing to see if the VCR powers on and can accept and eject tapes. Some broken VCRs at thrift shops naturally chew tapes, so that might be useful for your purposes if you want that effect in the video. You might find recordable tapes at the thrift shop as well. VCRs might also show up at a yard sale. The software requirements are Audacity, OBS Studio, Virtual Dub 2, and VLC Media Player. All of the software pieces are free. I will also leave updates in the description if I have something new on this topic. Preparing the tape. The first step is to prepare the tape. This involves purposefully adding chews and wear to the tape. This isn't absolutely necessary if you just want a clean VHS recording, but I recommend it as an effect. So this is a VHS tape. You can use Betamax tape if you have a player for that, but I am inexperienced in that area and don't own a machine for that. How I generally add chews to the tape is by crinkling the tape with my fingers like so. After adding a chew, I can either manually shift the tape over by twisting the spools, or by putting the tape in the VCR and fast forwarding about 20 seconds, or however often you want the effect. Try to not over crinkle the tape or else the audio will cut out and or the capture card will stutter while capturing the tape. Do this for the duration of the tape or however much effect you want. You can also do this after recording the tape, but crinkles will do more damage to the footage. Recording over already crinkled footage allows for the heads in the VCR to line up better for when you play it back later. Also note that after a crinkle is added to the tape, it cannot be removed. Recording the tape. The next step is to record the tape. This will be accomplished by converting the HDMI from your graphics card into composite using the HDMI to composite converter. You can also just use a laptop for this step if it is easier. The composite from the converter will go to the VCR to record. It is recommended to plug the VCR output into a TV so you can see what is being recorded. Plug an HDMI cable from the graphics card or laptop into the HDMI to composite converter. Plug the composite cables from the converter to the input of the VCR. On the converter I have, it requires external USB power to convert. Plug that USB cable into a USB charger or a computer. Next, set the converter to NTSC or PAL, depending upon your location. Plug more composite cables from the VCR to a TV. Put in the tape and make sure it is queued up for your effects and crinkles. Finally, select a recording mode. This can be either SP, LP, or EP/SLP mode. SP looks the best a VHS tape can, and takes up the most amount of tape. LP is the medium quality setting on the VCR, which is a little slower, and it might not even be on your VCR. My VCR doesn't have it. And there is an EP/SLP quality mode. This is the lowest recording quality and slowest mode, and it shows the most VHS effect on the video. I recommend this setting if the desired effect is vintage. On a standard T120 tape, there is 2 hours of SP recording time, 4 hours of LP recording time, and 6 hours of EP/SLP recording time. After everything is plugged in, set the displays up on Windows. Open VLC Media Player. On the top bar, click Tools, and then Preferences. Go to the tab Subtitles/On-Screen Display. Under On-Screen Display, deactivate both Enable On-Screen Display and Show Media Title on Video Start. Then click Save. Next, open the video file. Double-click the display so it goes full screen. Make sure that the video that is on screen takes up the full screen, no matter the aspect ratio the video is. Make sure to pause the file and set it back to the start of the video. Wait until the on-screen display disappears, then hit record on the VCR. Once you are sure it is recording, hit the spacebar on your keyboard to start the video. When the video concludes, stop the VCR and rewind back to the start. Check that the tape looks good with any effect you chose by playing the tape back on the TV. If satisfied, close VLC and move on. If not, re-record the video with different settings until you get the desired effect. Set up OBS. The next step is to set up OBS Studio. The latest version of OBS available at the time of recording is 25.0.8, so I will be talking in the context of this version. I recommend downloading the latest release though. After installing the latest version of OBS, we have to edit some settings. Open Settings on the bottom right. Navigate to Output on the sidebar. On screen, I show my recommended settings that I use for all of OBS, including recording VHS tapes. Navigate to Video on the sidebar. Again, on screen, I show my recommended settings that I use. Next step is to create a scene for the capture card. The capture card I linked in the description is different from the one that I personally use, but the one I linked is newer, cheaper, and better overall. Both should be similar when setting up the scene. Create a scene like so. Name it. Next, click the plus in Sources to add the card. Then click Video Capture Device. Name it. Next, select the device. It might be a bit fidgety, but it will work. Set up the properties and the crossbar to your liking. In the crossbar, make sure to select Composite. Click OK. Next, if the capture is on screen, hover over Transform and select Stretch to Screen. This might mess with aspect ratios, but this will be corrected later. Next, right-click and hover over Scale Filtering and select by cubic. Next, right-click and hover over Deinterlacing and select YODIF 2x. Next, right-click and click on Filters. You can mess around with the filters here until it looks right. You may need to come back to this step later if it doesn't look right after you record. Now we should be ready to capture the tape. Capturing tape. Now that OBS Studio is set up, we can capture the tape back to the computer. First, plug the VCR into the capture card with composite cables. After that, check on OBS to make sure that the VCR image shows up and that the colors look right. If not, mess with the filters like in the previous step. After making sure everything looks fine, it is time to record. Click Start Recording. If your computer is a little slow, close any external programs beside OBS to reduce dropped frames in the video. Then, start the tape from the beginning. If your VCR has it and you would like it on the end product, you can turn on the on-screen display from the VCR and it will be on the capture. Once the whole video has been played and every part you desire has been captured, you can click Stop Recording on OBS and put away the VCR and tape. You can also close OBS. Virtual Dub Part 1. Now that we have captured the tape, we can trim the video in Virtual Dub 2. Open Virtual Dub 2 and open the file we saved from OBS Studio. After it opens, use the timeline bar at the bottom to search for where you want the video to start. Click the Set Selection Start button when you find the exact frame where the video recording on the tape begins. The button is the second to last button on the bottom row. Next, Use the bar again to find the end of the videotape. Then, click the Set Selection End button when you find the exact frame where the video recording on the tape ends. The Set Selection End button is the last button on the bottom row. Now, there should be a little highlighted white bar on the timeline that represents the whole selected content of the OBS recording that is to be the output. Next, click Video on the top bar, and then click Compression. Select X264 10-bit. Next, click Configure. Match all the settings to what I have on screen. Then click OK twice. Next, click File, then click Save Video. Change the file type to MKV and click Save. The video is now rendering. After the rendering is done, the video can be watched, but the audio might be low. Close Virtual Dub 2 and reopen it. Open your newly rendered MKV video. Next, click File, then click Save Audio. Change the file type to WAV and click Save. You can close or leave Virtual Dub 2 open while we do the next step. Audacity. Open Audacity and open the WAV file we saved. Next, on the left side of the audio file, click Select so that the whole audio file is selected. Next, click Effect, then click Amplify, then click OK. It should increase the audio until it is maxed without clipping. At this time, you can add any additional audio sounds or effects you like. Then, click File, hover over Export, then click Export as WAV. Save it next to your old WAV, but name it something different. After that is done saving, you can close Audacity. Virtual Dub Part 2. If Virtual Dub 2 isn't already open, reopen it and select the same MKV that we had rendered. Next, click Audio, then click Audio from Other File. Select your new WAV file that we just saved. Next, click Video, then Filters. Click Add, select Resize, and click OK. If your original video was 4:3 ratio, select Compute Height from Ratio. If not, leave it be. If you are going to upload this video directly to YouTube, you must upscale the video as well, or else the video won't look right. To do that, just change the first absolute, in parentheses, pixels value to 3840, as I do on screen. Next, if your video still has black bars on the sides, you can select Crop to Aspect Ratio and make sure it says 4:3. Click OK twice. Next, just reselect the compression and resave the video, like we did a few steps ago. After it saves, the video will be ready for viewing or uploading. Conclusion. I hope I was able to convey how to successfully add tape effects to a video. If you have any questions, you can comment or email. My email is here on screen and in the description.